Yo, 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 shalom everybody, it's Kalila Kelly, your Irish Jew. Wong, Foreign Minister in Australia, calls for international action on Gaza as government weighs timing of Palestinian recognition. Here she goes, here she is, she's a girl, she's a lesbian, she's a Chinese Australian, her name is Wong, Labour lady, woo! She says the international community must do what it can to change the situation in Gaza, as the government actively considers when it should move to recognise Palestinian statehood. What is your obsession with managing Palestine or Gaza? Can you not see how utterly, ludicrously condescending your obsession and your involvement with Gaza is? That you somehow know more what the people of Gaza need or want than the government that the people elected knows. That you in Australia, you somehow have more understanding of what is needed and that you have some right to tell the people of Gaza what they need than the actual people of Gaza themselves. The people of Gaza made a choice after Israel uprooted and took all of the Jews out of the region. The Gazans voted for Hamas. They loved Hamas. Hamas hasn't had a single election since, as most dictators and autocrats never do. They never have elections once they're in. They use democracy to get in like Hitler did, and then they just stay. So the Palestinians in Gaza, for example, they chose Hamas. They love Hamas. They approve of Hamas, the overwhelming majority. Of course, there are always noble dissenters, but they're in the minority. The majority love Hamas and they agree with its charter, get rid of the Jews. They've never had an uprising against Hamas. They've never voted for someone else or had a revolution or said, hang on a minute, maybe we should have elections. They've never done that. They brought these leaders in. And this, all you see unfolding, is a direct result of the leadership that these people elected. And this hatred of Jews, this hatred of Israelis goes way back, far before the State of Israel was formed. There were pogroms against Jewish immigrants to the native land. There were hate marches, there were attacks, there were murders. They did not want Jews in the Holy Land. And it's just so incredible to hear about countries like France, the UK and Canada saying that they'll recognise a Palestinian state at the next United Nations General Assembly in September. So basically in a month, provided several conditions are met, including that Hamas plays no role in Palestine's governance. Who do you think you are? The Palestinians elected Hamas. This is what they wanted. And Hamas started a war with Israel. You know, I hope on one level that you do recognise Palestine, because then you can talk directly to the Palestinian leaders, Hamas, and you can tell them to disarm. You can tell them and waggle your finger at those terrible Hamasniks and tell them to feed their people, tell them to put their arms down. You can deal directly with the Palestinian Islamists and get them to do what you want. You can go directly to them and tell them to look after their women and children, to stop massacring gay people. You can talk to them. Leave Israel out of it. Leave us Jews out of it. You great, noble, post-colonialist Western countries with your morality and your condescending knowledge of all that's right and wrong in the world, because you've never done anything wrong in your histories. You go and deal with Hamas. I'm sick of them. You go and talk to them. You go and convince those brave, brave freedom fighters with their machine guns and their rapey, rapey penises and their hidden faces. You go and talk to them and tell them what's what, Penny. A gay Australian female. You go and tell Hamas where to stick it. Because they'll listen to you, bitch. Right? Unbelievable. Senator Wong said that it was a matter of when, not if, to recognise Palestine as a state. And she pointed to several developments, including the Arab League's nations' unprecedented step to call on Hamas to disarm and relinquish power in Gaza. So many Arab people and Arab countries hate the Palestinians. They despise them as troublemakers. They're quite racist towards them in the sense that they point the finger. And this is from what other Arabs have told me. Iraqis and Kurds aren't Arabs, but they've told me similar things. They don't like Palestinians. It is an absolute Western, passionate, romantic myth that the brown person, the person of colour from Arabia, that they're all Palestine. They're not. There is more intertribal warfare and hatred of each other than there ever is between any Jew and Palestinian, for example. What Canada and the United Kingdom and France and the Palestinian Authority and the Arab League are all seeking to do is work out what we can each do to break the cycle of violence that is consuming the Middle East. Again, sorry Australia, what have you got to do with this? Like seriously, what the hell are you doing getting involved? How are you going to stop the cycle of violence? I'll tell you how you fucking stop it, excuse the French. You get rid of militant Islam. You get rid of Islamists in power. You get rid of the funding from Qatar and Iran. You get rid of the radicalization of young people. And you demand accountability, something that the Palestinians have no concept of. They never take responsibility for starting all of the wars with Israel and for then losing them and then being a sad tooth about it. We start a war because we hate Jews. We refuse to live in peace, even when we're offered 95% of the land that our Mr. Arafat asked for a long time ago. We don't want peace. We will never give land to the Jews because it's not about the land. It's because we hate Jews. We will never have Jews in the Holy Land. In fact, we have to kill all of them. Just kill every single last one of them. That's how you stop the cycle of violence. You get rid of that sort of death cult, Islamist fascism. That's how you do it. But you won't do that, Penny Wong of Australia, because you're full of shit. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you also it's like literally none of your bloody business. Why don't you deal with the issues in Australia? The rising Islamism in Australia and the virulent anti-Semitism that's exploded, particularly in the main cities where they're firebombing synagogues. Why don't you deal with that, babe, and just leave Gaza to Gaza and they'll figure it out themselves and let them be adults. Treat them like actual adults. They know exactly what they're doing. They offer their own children up as human shields, as martyrs, as shahidas. Don't care what the word is. I have no respect for that ideology. Absolute death cult. We cannot continue to stand by and watch what is happening in Gaza and not take the sorts of actions you are seeing. Slow clap, Penny Wong, slow clap. What exactly is it that you're going to do that's make a difference? Nothing. And this weird obsession of the international community to stick their fingers in and feel that they have some right to comment even. Like, what do you actually have to do with Gaza, Australia? Seriously, I know you've taken in all of these unvetted refugees from the area, but what actual business is it of yours? What happens between Israel and Gaza? I don't get it. I don't get what your business is. You're thousands of miles away. Really? Australia is not particularly religious, so it's not like a religious thing for the Holy Land that you've got going on. From an Australian point of view, recognition of the state of Palestine is a matter of when, not if. Well, that's your Labour point of view. Again, this is how out of touch the left are. They may be in power now in Australia and, patting themselves on the back and sort of self-engorging themselves, if you know what I mean, getting all excited and passionate about the subject, but they're woefully and completely disconnected from the path that Israel is on. They don't understand where things are moving. It's like in politics when one side is unaware of its own blind spots and presumes that it knows what the people want. And so it becomes blind to what its enemy is actually doing. And its enemy sometimes has better research than you, right? You saw that with Trump versus the Democrats. They just could not conceive that Trump could win, and that he was researching and finding the right touch points with people in the same way that the left wing in Australia and across the West, and these obnoxiously condescending, pampered people who have no business sticking their nose in because they're ineffective, they have no idea of the trajectory that not just right-wing Israelis or religious zealots are on, or settlers as you call them. They just don't understand the historical legacy of the Torah, of the Holy Land narrative, and what that will be in the future. The future of Judaism and of Israel is for Jews to return to the land of Israel. And ironically, thanks to the rampant, disgusting anti-Semitism in places like Australia, Jews are going, well, this is bloody dangerous. We've seen this before, circa, 1930s Germany. I think we'll piss off back to Israel now. Bye. And Jews are leaving. They are fleeing England. They are fleeing France. They're leaving Australia. They're leaving the United States of America too. I never thought that day would come. And they're going back to Israel because it's like, okay, you all hate us. You keep wanting to kill us. Okay, message understood, bitch. Bye. You've just strengthened Israel with your anti-Semitism, you idiots. Anyway, the West, meanwhile, is just falling into its own abyss and is completely unaware of its own self-suicide, or maybe it's aware of it and it wants the suicide to happen. And then you have these idiots like Albanese and frickin' Wong banging on about Palestine. I hope you get what you want, because then you're going to have to deal with Hamas. And if it's not Hamas, it'll be the next iteration of those death-eating fascists. That's what they are. And then you can deal with them. Seriously, I'm so sick of the West poking their finger in and stirring the pot and monitoring the situation and telling Israel what it has to do left, right and centre, when Israel is at war with these people. And they started it, not for the first time. And they've rejected every single peace deal. Grow up. Own it. The responsibility of every single dead child, as you're so obsessed with children, not adults, just children. Every single death of every single Palestinian child is on Hamas, and therefore on the Palestinian people themselves, because they elected Hamas. Slow clap. Bravo. Well done, Australia. Well done.